Hey guys, here for American Gods, Season 1, Episode 2, The Secret of Spoons, and I was definitely looking forward to this episode. As you guys know, I really enjoyed last week's premiere. It was very weird, it was different, and just in general, a highly audacious, original show, and I really didn't know where the hell was going to go from here, and after this episode, I still don't really know where it's going to go, but I still really did enjoy this episode. We got to look at a lot more of the gods in this episode, and more of what they're going to do, and kind of like how Shadow fits and everything. We still don't really know how that all works out, but I really did love this episode overall, and moving forward, I'm definitely interested in seeing how the show goes about things, because I'm very quickly becoming engrossed in this world, but let's just get into it. And we start off with what I think is going to be a normal thing for the show, where we see Mr. Ibbotts. He's right. It's another flashback, but this time it's to 1697 of the gods coming to America, and a spider is looking at the future slaves gathered in the hold of a ship transporting them to America, and one of them, Okayi, calls to his god Anazi, and he's asking his god to free him, and in return he will sing dance for Anazi the rest of his life. And Anazi steps out, he's wearing a suit, and he advises them to take swimming lessons, and he then tells them a story of a man getting fucked, because that's the story of black people in America, and he's very blunt about it. Like, he doesn't try to hide anything, and they really have no idea what he means, because remember, at this point, they're not slave owners left. Like, these are slave owners getting onto the ship. At this point, they have no idea what's in store for them. This is clearly someone who does know what it's all about, and Anazi tells them that what is waiting for them in America, they will be fucked for 200 years afterward, and Anazi realized that Okayi is actually getting very angry about this, and Anazi says that angry is good because angry gets things done, and he informs them that they're going to face 300 years of abuse and heart disease, and we know this is true. Like, this is exactly what they're going through, and Anazi advised them to rise up and kill their Dutch captors, and when one man knows that they will all die, Anazi says that they're already dead, and that at least they can die a sacrifice for something worthwhile. And that line, "you're already dead," I think is very poignant, because it's not just saying, physically, yeah, they're obviously alive, but when you become a slave, you basically die because you're worked to death and you're treated like an object, and that's kind of the end of you, being a human. Like, you're kind of just dead at that point, and you're an object, and basically, he says at least they can die a sacrifice for something worthwhile. He breaks Okayi's chain, and Okayi then grabs tools to free the others. He sets the ship on fire as the men charge to kill their captors, so you can tell that Anazi has definitely gone through to him. Again, I'm not entirely sure how this is going to tie into the rest of the show, but if this is going to be the way that we're introduced to episodes moving forward, I'm definitely really liking the way this is all set up. I think it definitely was a very well done way to start things off, and I thought this was definitely a very well done opening. So, in the present, we see Shadow. He goes to an ER, and he has his wounds tended to, and he then goes to Wednesday's motel room, and he demands to know what he did, and Wednesday then lets Shadow in, and he sees this naked pizza delivery girl in the bed eating pizza just casually, and Shadow then tells him about Technical Boys Men. He has no idea what it's about, and Wednesday claims he has no idea what he's talking about, which clearly he does. He just kind of, he's conning him, and disgusted, Shadow walks off. Wednesday goes after him. The ex-comic explains what happens in detail, and Wednesday dismisses Technical Boy as just an asshole, and that's all he really is, and he says that they don't have a clue, and Shadow demands a clue. Like, he wants those answers, but it doesn't seem like they have them, and Wednesday points out there's clues born in their argument, and notes that Shadow is there, and he advises him to chalk it up to occupational hazard, and gives him double pay for hazardous duty. Shadow agrees, and Wednesday asks him how much longer he's going to be in town, and when Shadow says that he only needs a day, Wednesday tells him that they're done there, and obviously that's not going to be true. Shadow's probably going to be here for a lot longer, and basically, he tells him to enjoy his first bed as a free man, and as Shadow goes, Wednesday tells him that an insult to Shadow is an insult to him, and just because he didn't lose his temper, doesn't mean he's not angry or lacking a plan. So, unimpressed, Shadow goes into his motel room, and at this point, he doesn't really know what to make of it. He's just really not happy with Wednesday. He can tell that Wednesday definitely has some bigger plan that he's just not telling him about, and it's frustrating. I mean, obviously, he wants those answers, and he's just not getting them. So he takes a bath to soak away the pain. Very well done scene. I liked it. It was a quiet scene, but it was a really well done scene because it's kind of like the first normal thing he's done in a while. Because, you know, he's had all these like weird encounters, and he has a lot more weirder ones here. But he takes the wedding ring off. He takes off the wedding ring on his finger. He sets it on the side of the tub, and he goes to bed and dreams of Laura coming in. So he definitely is not over her, obviously. She assures him that she didn't die, and he's just having a bad dream. But as we can see, these dreams kind of predict what's going to happen in the foreseeable future. So there definitely is going to be some sort of significance with this. One, because Emily Browning is a main character, as we know. We saw that Laura is in fact going to is the second main character of the show. Two, we definitely know that Shadow's dreams do echo the future. So Shadow wakes up in an empty room. He lies back crying, and then he goes to his home. He goes inside. There's a welcome home sign and balloons up for him, and Dirty Dish in the sink. And it's really sad because all of this was thrown just before. You have to think that this was all before Laura got into that car accident. But Shadow mentions Laura. She's lying on the bed looking up at him, and then packs away everything, and he leaves a box with her personal effects from the crash until last. And Shadow then finally opens it. He looks at Laura's wedding ring, and he then finds her phone, and there are numbers of texts from Robbie and a photo that he sent of his dick. So he can tell that these two definitely had very explicit conversations, and he tosses the phone back in the box because it doesn't really matter now. Like, who cares if she had an affair? Like, it's not really a big deal now. He needs to remember her for what she was, and he goes to work scrubbing the floor until his fingers bleed, which I don't know why he went so rough. I don't know if it was because he was enraged by what Robbie did, but his fingers are literally bleeding, and a moving company then takes the boxes away. Wednesday is waiting across the street. He asks Shadow if he's going to miss Eagle Point, and Shadow tells him that it was actually Laura's town, and that he really didn't think much of it. It was all kind of what Laura wanted, and there are just too many memories of her. Everything in that house reminds him of Laura, and it's sad, obviously. I mean, he definitely does remember her, and Wednesday suggests that there's a lot to be said for bottling up emotions, warns him not to knock his teeth in for saying what he needs to be said, and tells Shadow that people know that Laura died sucking Robbie's cock, and he notes that Shadow's only obligated to feel bad about that for so long, because it's really not his fault. I mean, Shadow, I think, feels like he could have prevented it if he wasn't in jail, which I think is definitely true, but I mean, we don't really know much more of that story. Like, how long was the whole thing going with Laura and Robbie? We know Robbie was Shadow's best friend, and we know Laura was his wife. How long were these two canoodling in that way? We don't really know, but Shadow thanks him for warning him before getting into Wednesday's car, and then we get into what most of this episode is. So the rest of this episode is kind of Wednesday taking Shadow on these different type of extravagant places and just kind of going on these different sort of like reconnaissance missions. We don't really know what this is all about, like why he's taking him all these places, but Shadow drives Wednesday to Chicago. He notices Wednesday makes a coin vanish, and we know obviously that's because he's Odin, but Shadow doesn't really know at that point. So Wednesday asks why Shadow practices coin tricks when he doesn't have the personality to be a magician, and he tosses the coin to Shadow and tells him to pull off the highway, says that they will be meeting with people eminent in their respective fields, and then they will rendezvous at one of the most important places in the country. And first, they're going to stop in Chicago, and Wednesday is Shadow drive to a diner. He tells him to do some shopping for him and gives him $1,000 and a list of things to get, and Shadow insists that he won't skim anything from him, because again, he doesn't trust him, which is understandable. The dude's not giving him any answers. Why the hell would he trust him? So he goes to the superstore. He gets a variety of items, including vodka, romance novels, state maps, all kinds of things. Like, it varies in basically every way. These earmuffs, we don't know why he needs any of this stuff, but he gets it for him regardless, and we get one of the most peculiar scenes in this episode, but it was also so riveting. I didn't know what the hell this scene was about, but he goes past the TVs, and we see Lucy. Yeah, Lucy from I Love Lucy, which is like my mom's favorite TV show, let me just say. I love the show too, but it's like my mom's favorite show, so it's always on. Like, this show is like always on every single day. I'm very well versed when it comes to I Love Lucy, and she calls him by name and says that they need to talk, and everything in the store freezes. And this was actually Media, the god Media. I guess whenever you watch a show, Media is what appears, which is very interesting. But Gillian Anderson did an incredible job in this role. Such a different role for her, but the woman who's looking like Lucy lights a cigarette, and Shadow unplugs all the TVs, but Media appears appears on a screen anyway and explains that she's the one that they sacrificed to, and the image turns color. And I loved how she was able to like stretch out the TV. You know, she had all the control because she's media. She's able to do all that stuff. And media says that she hates that they were hurting Shadow, and she offers him a job working for her, and that they are the coming thing. And media tells Shadow that his boss is just selling orange on the side of the road by comparison, and that, you know, working for Wednesday is not a good idea. And she appears on more and more screens, and at this point, Shadow, I think, just doesn't really know what to believe. Like, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, why doesn't he just leave Wednesday? He doesn't really know what to believe. Like, Wednesday's not telling him anything. He doesn't really know what to believe, but I think he's kind of intrigued at the same time. Just think of all the stuff that Shadow's been through. You know, he left jail because of Laura's death, and I feel like he doesn't really have much of a direction in his life besides, you know, working for Wednesday. What else does he really do? So she says that she was impressed with how Shadow dealt with Technical Boy, and they're all underestimating Shadow. Like, Shadow is a lot more powerful than everyone thinks he is, and Shadow says they're done, but media then offers him anything he wants, including getting to see Lucy's tits, which I thought was really funny. But she warns him that guys like him end up a suicide every time, and she disappears as reality restarts. And remember that line, that guys like him end up a suicide. It's very important for the end of the episode, but I'm definitely getting more into this character. We don't know much about media yet, but I think it's going to be a very interesting character, especially the way they use her throughout the show. So Shadow returns to the diner and sees Wednesday meeting with a Middle Eastern man. The man walks out past Shadow, and his eyes are briefly glowing red, and Shadow tells Wednesday what happened. Wednesday is surprised that Lucy talked to Shadow. Like, this is a completely common thing, and he tells Shadow that he'd been singled out for unique abuse, and he says it's better to be abused than forgotten. And yeah, I think that definitely is a good way to put it. But Wednesday tells Shadow that they'll have to decide if the world is crazy or if he is, and Shadow wonders if they're just fucking with his head, and Wednesday tells him that there are bigger sacrifices he might ask to make them than going a little mad. So clearly, again, we don't know what this is all about, but just like Shadow, we're very entranced into this world, and I really do like the way this was all set up here. So the two men drive out, and Wednesday discovers that Shadow has bought him a cell phone. Wednesday then tosses it out of the car window, almost as if he doesn't need it, which he probably doesn't. I mean, he's fucking Odin. He can literally do anything. And he says that he misses telegrams. He explains that the states they're heading to actually have blonde women that he likes. And Shadow points out the girl that was in Wednesday's room the night before. Wednesday tells him that the secret to his success is charm. And he touches the dashboard, the car radio comes on, and he settles back to sleep. And in the heavens, we see this naked man drifts through the void, and then we get another scene with Bilquis, which we get basically just as much with her here as we got in the first episode, but it was still very well done. We see in her room in LA, Bilquis is lying in her bed, satted on by the men and women who have sacrificed themselves to her via sex, and basically she's thinking about all the different men and women, and we realize that this is a common recurrence. Like, she always has sex with a bunch of men and women, and then they are devoured by her vagina, which again, it's crazy to think about, but that's kind of what Night with Bilquis is kind of entails. So definitely, if you see the name Bilquis on a dating site, definitely do not definitely just code red immediately. Just get the red flags, because definitely not the women that you want to be going on a date with. Unless you want to like die, definitely not the woman to possibly hook up with. So later she goes to a museum displaying a statue of her from ancient times. She goes to a case and holding jewelry, and a woman's body briefly appears on them. We don't know what this is all about. Again, I think this is really suspecting what Bilquis is going to do for the rest of the show. We don't really know what her role is going to be. But again, she's a main character, so clearly she's going to have some sort of storyline going forward, but that's all we really get in this episode. So I like the way they're showing her in small doses. It makes sense why they're doing that. So Shadow and Wednesday then arrive in Chicago. They go to an apartment building where Zoraya Vershinaya, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce these names. They're very, very Russian, and I'm not. So she's letting herself in, and she recognizes Wednesday when he calls to her. And in a field, Czernobog kills a cow and goes inside. And in the apartment, Vershinaya makes some tea. I'm going to call her by her first name because it's a lot easier. Zoraya. He assures that he's there on a matter of importance and shows her the items that that Shadow brought earlier. This is where the rest of the episode takes place, is within this apartment, and basically, Zoraya drinks the vodka. She calls in her sister, Zoraya, and says that the other sister is still asleep, also named Zoraya, and Shadow offers to help her prepare dinner, but Zoraya tells him that he's a guest. She explains that they make money from the slaughterhouse and reading fortunes, and Zoraya offers to read Shadow's fortune after tea. She directs him to the restroom, and she warns that her sister is sleeping in the next room and needs her rest, and once Shadow goes, Wednesday tells Zoraya that he's easing Shadow into their world. So again, clearly there's some larger plan that Wednesday has that we don't know about yet, but Shadow goes to the restroom. He sees the gift, which is a pair of binoculars that Wednesday has left outside the third sister's door. There's a creaking noise, and when Shadow turns back, the bedroom door is closing. Binoculars are gone. He hears a man coughing as he comes up the stairs, and Czernobog comes in, and this actor is so menacing, so terrifying, but there's something so charismatic and likable about him at the same time. He did an incredible job. His scene here I really did love. It was more of a sequence, really. Like, I can't really say it was a scene because it was the rest of the episode, but Zoraya tells him that they have two guests. Wednesday then greets him and gives him cigarettes and cheese as a gift. The old man actually throws a lamp at Wednesday, who dodges it, and Czernobog demands to know why Wednesday is there. So clearly he's not happy to see Wednesday. We don't know why that is, but he's not happy to see him. And Wednesday says that he's only there to share information and food, and the knocker then takes the gifts and says that they'll eat first. So again, we don't know really what this is all about. But Veserna and Ochranaya, again, I don't know how to pronounce these names, but they make dinner. They refuse to let Shadow help. He suggests that Czernobog is their husband, and Zoraya tells him that Czernobog is no one's husband, and she's no one's wife. So they're relatives who came over together, and she's really not a good cook. Shadow then hands over his teacup, and Zoraya examines the tea leaves. The leaves are actually in the form of a raven, and Zoraya then lies about the fortune that she sees, and when he doesn't believe her, Zoraya says that his mother died of cancer, and he won't, which I guess she did. So Czernobog then orders Wednesday to go, insisting that he won't leave with him. The others then come in. They try to shush Czernobog, but Wednesday says that everyone will be there but him, and they'll think they all know what Strawn is. So Wednesday wants Czernobog there to show them what strength really is. Czernobog says that he needs his brother. He isn't interested in glory, and the third sister calls from her room asking if anything is wrong, and Zoraya says that there isn't and tells her to go back to sleep. Wednesday tells Shadow that they should go because it's clearly not a safe area and they don't really want him there. So Shadow points out that Wednesday said he needs Czernobog, so obviously they need to stay for that reason, and Czernobog insists they stay for dinner and they can leave after, which is probably the worst mistake Shadow could have made in this episode, is staying there, especially because of the pickle he finds himself in at the end of the episode. But as the storm gathers overhead, everyone's eating dinner. Wednesday thanks the ladies for their meal. Czernobog says that where they're from, no one really cares about skin color, so they fight over shades, and he talks about how everyone thought his brother was the good one, so Czernobog actually became himself, and they're now both gray, so there's no point in fighting over color. And Czernobog explains they came to New York and then moved to Chicago, and he had to find farm as a knocker on the killing floor. And the killing floor, if you guys have seen 11/22/63, that's really all about. You hit the cow with the hammer, and that's kind of how it goes. You just kill the cow. So Zoraya insisted there should be no cow-killing stories at the dinner table, but Czernobog says that it requires strength and speed to kill the cow before the pain travels from the outside to the brain. So now they use a bolt gun and anyone can do it without skill, and Czernobog then talks about checkers, saying it's an honest, and he suggests that he and Shadow actually play checkers after dinner, and Shadow then agrees. So Wednesday tells Shadow he doesn't have to play him, which there's clearly a reason why Wednesday does not want him to get involved, but Shadow insists. He doesn't really think much of it. They begin their game, and Czernobog takes the first place, and this entire scene, again, because of how just boisterous and powerful Czernobog has been so far, you're so riveted by this scene, because definitely there's a reason why Wednesday doesn't want Shadow to play, but at the same time, you're kind of, just like Shadow, you're very invested in what this is really all about here. So I thought that was definitely interesting to see. So Czernobog asks if he wants to see the hammer he used as a knocker, and he takes it down from the mantle. He says the blood feeds it and gives it shine, and the best blood then flows at sunrise when the cattle have rested. The hammerhead drips blood, so immediately you know that he uses this hammer a lot, and Czernobog says he killed 10,000 cows with it. That is fucking insane, but he literally killed 10,000 cows. And Czernobog sets the hammer down next to his chair, tells Shadow to make his move, and the game continues. Czernobog suggests they make a wager, and when Wednesday looks up, because you can tell that Wednesday knows that this is definitely not going to be a good wager, Czernobog tells him that it isn't his game. He then proposes that if Shadow wins, then Czernobog will do as Wednesday asks. Clearly, whatever Wednesday asks him to do, he will do. But if Czernobog wins, then he'll knock Shadow's brains out with his hammer, and that is to be extremely painful, considering Shadow has no hair. He is completely bald. So he goes down on his knees. Wednesday warns Shadow that Czernobog is serious and asks how good Shadow really is, and Shadow asks how badly Wednesday needs Czernobog, and Wednesday tells Shadow that it's his decision. He does not need to play if he doesn't want to, but Shadow accepts the wager, figuring that everything that he's seen is real. He makes his move. The game continues. Czernobog takes the lead and starts singing about the secret of spoons, which is actually a fake Russian song, and he did this kind of like a way to distract Shadow. Like, that's kind of how I saw it, but he traps Shadow's last piece between two of his. He takes Shadow's piece, and Czernobog says at sunrise he gets to knock Shadow's brains out after he goes down, obviously because that was their deal. He goes down his knees willingly, and he says it's a shame because Shadow is his only black friend, so he probably is going to kill Shadow, and that is the way this episode ends. Really great stuff overall, but let's just get in this episode and where I think we're going to go from here. So, wow, I mean, what a crazy episode this really was. Now, obviously, we know Shadow is not going to die. We know Czernobog probably isn't going to hit him with the hammer because, he is our main character. The show will kind of be over if that happened. Shadow kind of represents us, the overseer, and things like that. But I definitely did get very invested in Czernobog as a character. There's clearly some reason why Wednesday wants nothing to do with him, whether it be Wednesday maybe fell for Czernobog's tricks, or Czernobog, he doesn't really like Wednesday. He's very hostile towards him. So I'm really interested in getting into that overall relationship or what that's really about. But not just Czernobog. Seems like anyone that Shadow goes to tells him Wednesday's no good. Get out of what you have with him. Because clearly Wednesday is using Shadow for a much larger purpose. We don't really know what that's about, but Shadow is in a position where, again, I think he just doesn't really know what he's going to get, so he's just kind of, like, where he's really going to go now that Laura's dead, so he's just kind of doing whatever, because at least he has some sort of purpose within the world. I don't think he really cares that Shadow's asked him to do all these crazy things. He just kind of like, alright, fine, why not? I don't really know what else I'm going to get, so might as well. So I don't really know where the show's going to go for that reason specifically, but again, just like Shadow, I'm so invested in this world that I really don't care, honestly. Like, I just like seeing these characters. Media as well, we don't really know what her deal is, but she clearly wants Shadow to work for her. I couldn't tell if that was, like, legit, or if that was, like, a test to see if Shadow will leave Wednesday. I honestly would not be surprised if it is. Like, media is just trying to convince Shadow to get, that was just Wednesday making sure that Shadow was loyal to him. But really, Shadow doesn't really have a reason to be loyal to Wednesday because he's not telling him jack shit. So, clearly, I mean, if Shadow left, I really would not be, I think Wednesday would understand, but I don't think he'd necessarily be happy. He'd probably just find Shadow anyway because he can't really get away from him because, he's Odin, he can go anywhere. So definitely I'm interested in getting more into why Wednesday really needs Shadow, what he really wants him to do. I think that whole storyline is going to be very interesting. The other big thing is Laura. As we know, he thinks that Laura is dead. Obviously, he's trying to move on from her. But as we see in the next episode, he is going to start seeing her on, like, the hotel bed and things like that. So we don't really know what that's all about. Why is he seeing these visions of Laura? Is she actually dead? Is she possibly a god? Is there more to her than he thinks there is? So I'm definitely interested in getting into that overall relationship, what that's really all about. And also Shadow's purpose, because media did allude to that Shadow is much more powerful than everyone kind of leads on. So what's that really about? What does Shadow have in him that no one else really sees? Because clearly media does see something. Again, I don't know if she was just trying to humor him and seduce him or whatever, and try to be like, oh, with me, I'll actually accept you for that stuff. Or if she actually is sincere, that Shadow does have something that no one else seems to really acknowledge. But we'll have to see really where that's going to go. I think that's going to be very interesting. And then Bilquis as well. I don't know where Bilquis is really going within this story. We know obviously that there's this museum and there's like these statues of her from like ancient times and things like that, so we don't really know what that's all about. I'm assuming we're going to get to that next week because we know that Wednesday is going to try to get Chow to rob a bank, and therefore Bilquis is, holding jewelry, which jewelry is one of the things that's commonly stolen. So I don't know if that's going to tie into this, but I do think that story, she's going to get involved in the main story at some point. I just don't really know in what capacity and what's really going to happen there. Overall, guys, I'm really enjoying the show. I can't really tell you what's going on because, truth be told, we don't really know what's going on at this point. We're kind of like Shadow, where we're not entirely sure what's happening. We don't really know why Wednesday needs him. We don't really know what these gods are all about. But at the same time, we're kind of mesmerized by everything we're seeing. And I think Ricky Whittle in general is just doing a really great job at just looking very bewildered and confused and just not really knowing what to make of things, because what do you make of a lot of these things that he's gone through? But overall, guys, I definitely did enjoy this episode. This was another really strong one overall. And I'm definitely going to give American Gods Season 1, Episode 2, The Secret of Spoons, the same grade that I gave the first episode, that being a 4.5 out of 5 or an A minus. So overall, this episode of American Gods, and most guys thought this episode overall, left your thoughts in. I really am enjoying the show so far. There's just a lot of thought-provoking stuff the show is getting us to think about, and in general, again, it's unlike anything I've seen on TV in quite some time. But that's it for my review. Hope you guys enjoy it. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for tonight's episode of Supergirl, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.